Hello, Matt O'Brien here for the Darlington A-Fix track guide. Darlington A-Fixed is 50 laps, not terribly long, not terribly short. Um, Less cautions than you would expect because the range of where the track can call cautions is very, very narrow. It's only about like 2.5 lanes off the wall. If you're crashed below that, a caution won't come out. Tricky track, very narrow. Got to run close to the wall in 1 and 2. Not so much in 3 and 4, but garage settings right here. I ran a 264 pinion, +5 on the offset, but offset 100% preference. Master cylinders, front 15/16, rears 27/32. Brake biased is 38.6. The date, I'm using static weather. Date is April 4th, 2025 at 2:25, which is when AFIX is happening in sim. With the weather, 74 air temp. The track temp is 106 for me. 12 mile per hour winds in the west direction, and humidity at 70%. So yeah, quali, it is a lap 2 quali. That's pretty normal for all next gens. So yeah, obviously you have to push pretty hard, but you have to also be a little conservative because obviously if you hit the wall, your lap won't count. You're going to be doing a lot of shifting this week at Darlington. So in quali, it's going to be 5th gear in 1 and 2, and 4th in the 4th gear in 3 and 4. The first lap obviously is just a warm-up lap, so what you're seeing here is just warm-up, but just to get some tire heat. Your first lap is going to be like a 1/10.5 slower here, most likely, just because the tire heat's needed so bad, but I'll go quiet for the quali lap. All right, so the lap was a 29.25. With the weather how it is, pretty warm track temp. I'm pretty sure this is pretty stout. So yeah, let's go back to the backstretch. So coming to your lap, what you want to do is brake pretty early. Oh, that's the wrong way. You want to brake a little early and enter pretty high against the wall like this. So the best way to describe this is using this Darlington sign is a good reference of where you want rotation. And this goes for qualifying or the race, or like in general. Generally, if you are able to start getting the gas and the car still wants to have that rotation to get like stay on the bottom, generally means you hit the corner pretty well. So you see how like I drive down the track. And doing this, it should be a little free. So like the rear end might kick out a little bit. You can see me working the wheel a little bit, but I'm just staying in the gas, and that's okay. Then you want to shift up to 5th. You can try 4th. I don't like 4th in qualifying. It just doesn't seem to be able to carry as much speed for me, at least. But I know people have had success doing it. just keeping it in fourth and doing 1 and 2 in fourth, but I prefer fifth. So you do want to use a little brake for quali. Obviously not a ton. So it's definitely harder to see in the day, but you can kind of see the white line where my mouse is right there. These dashed white lines that you can kind of see more over here. I use those as a general feel for qualifying with a brake. So I'm waiting a little after for that. Using about 15% brake for a little bit, and then you want to get your car low as possible without actually going on the flatter part here. So you can see how close I actually do cut this here. Like I put my left side right on the seam, and that's pretty much perfect. Like you don't want to go any lower, and you don't want to be a little any higher. And then you want to stay about 60% throttle, 70%, 60-70% to drive up the track and start carrying a lot of speed. And then I use much like 3 and 4, I use this Darlington sign a lot for quali and the race as a reference point. There's many ways to go through this. Some people don't get off the gas completely. They keep it like 10%. I tend to just get off the gas completely. I feel like that gives you more rotation. But everyone has their own way. But I prefer getting out of the gas completely. So you'll see. Basically, as soon as the Darlington sign goes away, I got out of the gas. And then it's literally a quick blip, but it gives you that extra rotation you need to start driving down the track for turn 2. You see how I'm able to get down low as possible. So you can see it's just a quick blip, but that's all it takes. And then basically go back to 60-70%, and then you get the 100% when you feel like the rear's gripped up and everything, where you can make the corner. So, and much like the entrance of 1 and 2, you want to get as close to the seam as possible. You can see I pretty much touch the seam with my left front. So, and that's pretty much exactly what you want to do. And then you make it want to wash out to the wall as close as possible. A little space there, but that's very good. Then 3 and 4, you do drive it in pretty deep. The best way I describe this is it's much like you can't really see them, but it's the white lines. So like I know in quali, it's like a couple car lengths after that, but another reference point that you can use is these Goodyear signs. You'll notice basically as soon as I get to them, I transition to braking. And then I downshift, and I actually do let it roll up. So you do want to diamond this for qualifying for sure. Same thing. You want to get low as possible. Honestly, not low enough in this lap, but you can drift up to about where I'm at and then cut back down the track. So you'll see again on this Darlington sign, I start getting back in the gas. And when I'm in the gas, you can see I'm still able to drive down the track because I have enough rotation. And this lap, I actually got kind of loose off turn 4. You can see me starting to work the wheel, especially on the exit here. So yeah, to do a diamond like this is okay. Sometimes the diamond is not as big as this. This was a pretty big diamond for what I usually do, but it's what I was able to get my fastest lap by doing. So, one thing that is important for qualifying is you don't want to enter very low. Like in the race, you're gonna probably want to enter like a half a car length lower. That's pretty bad for qualifying because how it sets you up for the rest of the corner makes you kind of tight on exit. So yeah, you want to make sure you don't enter too early, but you don't want to enter too late either. So also when you cut down, it's just like 1 and 2. You want to get right on the seam close as possible, and then you'll drift to the wall and exit. And that's pretty much the lap at Darlington. 29.258 in the weather conditions, I do believe is very good. Obviously, there's always probably a little more, but your lap times also can vary based on the weather variables being a little different. So, but generally the marks of my lap are what you want to hit. So, yeah. So let's go into the race run. I did a 30 lap run. I had 84.91 on the right side tires, which kind of falls in line with what we've had here at Darlington for the last quite a while. It's gonna build extremely tight if you're not careful. I practiced a restart. I did try this in first gear. It wasn't bad, but the margin of error to be faster in first gear is so like to be a faster restarter in first gear. I think the margin of error is so small. I think you just should start in second gear, to be honest. Second gear you don't have to think about it, you just floor it. First gear you have to worry about wheel spin and stuff, and it's marginally faster if you hit it right. So yeah, race runs, gotta be a little careful in 1 and 2. You can slide a bit, but generally it's more you back up the corners a lot more. So you'll see that this is gonna be quite different, I believe, from what quality was. So you can see how much earlier I braked, because like qualifying, we didn't brake until it was like somewhere around here, but it's even earlier. Best way I describe how I always break into 3 and 4. You can basically see the first white dashed line is the breaking point for race runs. And then I enter really low, and you kind of want to stick closer to the bottom. You don't diamonding in the race is okay early in the run as well, but you never want your left sides to be above this seam if you're diamonding. But honestly, early in the run, I don't think you really want to. You don't want anything larger than a diamond like this. So, and then a very important part, which I don't think a lot of people understand about Darlington, is honestly how much you actually have to back up turn 1. Turn 1 is really the right front shredder at Darlington. Because a lot of people do like the quali line. Like you can see I'm already on the brakes. Honestly, this is almost too deep. You really want to back up turn 1. But I was able to slow it down enough, but you notice how I get in the gas and I kind of only move up to this lane, not all the way to the top. If you move up to the top really fast, it's going to shred your right front. So you need to make sure it's nice and gradual. And if you make sure it's nice and gradual and you back up turn 1 a lot, it's going to pay dividends on these long runs like you do not understand. The big problem is people burn their right fronts off at Darlington. They'll drive into turn 1, it doesn't turn, and they just drive straight in the wall. So, and like going through 1 and 2 though, other than with backing it up, quali in the race is pretty similar. You might want to use less throttle overall. Like qualifying, you're using like 60 to 70%. Maybe you want to back it down to like 50, 55%. And then it'll just get lower and lower as the run goes on. Oh, I don't want to back it up. So, yeah, so you can see you want it to be low. Don't want to go much higher than I am here early in the run. So, yeah. Like this right here, I think is a much better example of how early you can drive it in way deeper than this and make the corner. But I'm telling you, if you back it up like this from this far back, it's going to pay huge dividends on long runs. It'll save the right front. And you want to make sure you gradually move up to the outside, not instantly. And I can't stress how important it is to do that. Your right front will be destroyed if you don't. So the best ways to pass at Darlington, passing at Darlington is very difficult. I'll have to cut this out as I look for the lap where I show the passing line. It's very similar to the quality line. So 1 second. Okay, so I found basically one of the best ways to pass people at Darlington. Obviously passing at Darlington is very difficult. One thing to note is that a lot of people will let you go if you're side by side entering a turn here, but some people aren't. The people that aren't, they're very hard to pass. You have to wait for them to make a mistake, and then to destroy their tires, where the tire difference is big enough for you to make a pass. So a good way to pass people that I have found is doing what I'm about to show here. It's kind of similar to qualifying, coming up to your lap. So what you want to do is kind of back up 3 and 4 a lot, but you want to enter like really high. So you'll see here. You want to enter really high. And I know it's going to feel like you're going to, when you enter like this high, I know it's going to feel like you're going to drive right into the wall. But if you don't overdrive it, ride the brake, you know, so you'll notice throughout the video how long I ride the brakes. It will get rotation. So basically the idea is like the guy's going to be running the bottom, right? He's not going to have a great exit, but since you're this high, you're able to carry a lot more speed on the exit of the turn. So you see this white line? Let's we're 156 at it, right? And I believe this next lap I run the bottom. $153. So I was carrying 3 mile an hour faster when I was up here. And then basically the idea is you're able to get a run, side draft them into turn 1, maybe be able to clear them, or you just really send it into turn 1 and clear, like really dive it in the 1, get clear, and you kind of park it on them. So yeah, and then let's go to the very last lap of this run just to show you how different it is. Very important, I have not mentioned this yet. After about like 7 or 8 laps, you want to actually stay in 4th gear. You'll see like you just want to stay through 4th gear and 1 and 2. What 4th gear is gonna do, it's gonna essentially make the car looser fundamentally. It puts more rear bite into the car, and that puts a little less stress on the right front. So a lot of this is just gotta save the right front. And being in 4th gear, more torque means the rears do more of the work. So yeah, this was lap 30 of the run, so you can see how different it is. And then one last thing, Like this is lap 30. What happens, it's generally it's gonna keep getting tighter, and what's gonna happen, and it's gonna be okay after like lap 30. It's okay if you start drifting up doing a diamond that keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I've seen people from here, like at this point of the corner, will drift all the way up to the wall at the Darlington side and drive way back down the track and have success doing that. So yeah, so I hope that was helpful. How to drive the track. Um, tire wise, with the set being this tight, 2 tires in Afix is gonna be extremely powerful. Yeah, I honestly, if there's a caution after lap 30, I'd probably be only taking 2 tires and then just letting it rip. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, and then NIS is 147 laps. That's gonna be a 2-stop race if it goes green all the way. It won't, but it's always nice to think that. NIS Darlington, be patient. A long race, 147 laps doesn't sound like a lot. It does take a long time at Darlington. Basically the same things here in the video. It's just a longer race, really, and big thing with Darlington is you got to be there at the end. You don't make mistakes, clean race, you will more likely than not find yourself towards the front at the end of the thing. So, I hope this video was helpful. I know this one's a little longer than most, but Darlington's a hard track. So, thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll catch you guys in the next track guide.